You're listening to A Seat at the Tech Table, a podcast by Sisters in Tech, hosted by Anna and Esther Kofariji. This podcast highlights the experiences of Black women working and thriving in the tech industry. You'll learn about how they found their paths into tech, and hopefully you'll be inspired to consider whether there's a seat for you at the tech table.
Welcome to A Seat at the Tech Table, a monthly talk series where we speak to women in tech about their experiences. We want to show that there are many different paths into tech and many different seats at the tech table. If you work in tech, we hope that you'll learn something new from our guest's perspective. And if you don't work in tech, we hope that you'll consider that there might be a seat for you at the tech table. Today's guest is Antonia Oguntokun.
Hi, Antonia.
Hi, Anna.
Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to A Seat at the Tech Table. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Antonia. I'm 29. I'm from Nigeria, but was born and raised in London. My interests include travelling.
Oh, nice.
I like to travel. I like to socialise. I'm a bit of a people person. I'm currently working as an accountant in Natural Motion Games Limited.
Oh, nice. So, where's the last place you've been you like to travel? Tell us.
Oh, the last place I went was Nigeria. Not that exciting, actually.
I'm sure it was, actually.
It was nice, though. It was nice.
So, you've told us a little bit about your background, who you are. Tell us about your studies. What were your interests?
Well, I've always liked accounting, actually, since I was young. My mum bought me, like, a little till for Christmas once. And then I liked the fact that you would put in the numbers, it would tell you what you should take from the person and the change you should give back. So through my secondary school education and college education, I knew I wanted to be an accountant. So when I got to uni, I studied accounting and finance.
Okay.
It was very direct. I just studied accounting and finance. So graduated in 2012.
Right.
And then when I left uni, I started working, I did an office job, a bit of admin.
Okay. But let's take it a little bit back. So, you said you got a till when you were young as a Christmas present. It's quite interesting to see how much small things, toys or objects can influence us.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell me a bit about kind of how you pursued that when you were younger.
Do you know what? There wasn't really a lot of thought process behind it. I just enjoyed it. And then the next thing I knew that was relatable to it was accounting.
Okay.
I never explored any other thing that maths could do for you as a career. Okay. I just thought I liked the till. Then by the time I was old enough, I just associated maths with accountants, and then I went for it.
So in terms of your studies of accounting, what elements of this your degree, I guess? Yeah. What elements of your degree did you enjoy, and kind of how do you feel like that prepared you for the world of work?
I enjoyed the fact that you knew it was right. With accounting, it's right or it's wrong. There was it's not subjective. It's not, if you carried a 2, it could be 3. It's always 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah. And I like that. And I like that it was so structured. Yeah. I've always liked structure. So that's what accounting offered me.
So post-university, what was your early working life like?
So my early working life was Marks and Spencer's.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I'd worked at Marks and Spencer's during uni. And the good thing about Marks and Spencer's is you can move from city to city and then from borough to borough, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I just moved to London again and continued. Then I was... one of my friends got like a corporate job and they were looking for people to do admin. So I thought it would be nicer on my CV to say I do admin than work in M&S, especially if I want to go into accounting.
Right. So did you find that there were any challenges to get an accounting job?
Yeah, a lot, because they wanted experience but they wanted experience but wouldn't give me a job. So how was I going to get the experience to get the job?
Yeah.
So it was very tricky. So I thought I'll do a bit of admin. So at least I'm used to the office environment. I know how it works. I'm used to the 9 to 5 life. So one of my friends was working in a company and they had an admin role.
Okay.
So I went for that and I did that for 18 months. And on doing that, it was good. It was a nice stepping stone. But it was dead end in terms of the fact that I'd studied accounting.
Yeah.
So I quit. Without a job, I just quit.
Was there any finance or accounting involved in the admin job at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm interested in quitting. I've done that a couple of times, but how did you come to that decision? Because I think I don't want to call it brave, because I don't think brave is the issue. I think it's about how do you get to a place where you know what the right thing for you is.
Yeah.
I think you just have to trust the process. Like, after I quit, I was actually on job seekers allowance for a period of time. And during that time, I remember I went to get sign on to get my money. And the woman was like, oh, have you ever done a CV before? And I was like, what? Like, do you know who I am? I felt like saying, do you know who I am? Like, of course I know what a CV is. So there was times with that made me think, oh, should I have really quit? Maybe I should have waited. But then on the flip side, when I was working and applying for accounting roles, they would always say, we want you immediately available. And that role, I had to give a month's notice. Oh, wow. So it was a bit of a catch-22. Yeah. So, but then now looking back, quitting was the best thing I could have done. Wow. I think if I didn't quit, I would not have ended up in accounting. Yeah, wow. I would have got lost in the system, like a lot of people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's hard then, but paid off now.
Paid off now.
The power of quitting.
Yeah, you have to. If you want to do something, you have to push towards it. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So
on the topic of quitting, I can understand where you're coming from, because I've quit twice in my life. I've just left a job and kind of opened myself up to new opportunities. But I think for some people that might not be something that they necessarily can do, or they don't really understand the kind of philosophy behind that. So could you speak to that a bit more, please?
Yeah, I'd say if you're worried about quitting, apply for a sabbatical, because then you know that your job is still there if your plan doesn't go right. But ultimately, if you're doing something that is not what you want to do, you have to leave it to get to where you want to be. Yeah. So it's either you remain comfortable or you branch out, you take the leap of faith and see where you end up. But to give yourself a fallback, to apply for a sabbatical.
Okay. I guess it's all about kind of weighing your options.
Yeah.
And really recognising and understanding what is the right next step for you.
Exactly.
And even more so long term, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because when I quit, I was thinking long term. I was thinking, I want to be an accountant. Yes. And I have to take the steps now so that in the future, I won't regret not doing it. Yes. So people can say it's because I was young, but I think that is the key of it. Being young, you should always have that risk element in you. You should push, because whatever you do when you're young is going to catch up with you when you're old. So,
and I think for older people or people who have probably more to lose, I think it's always a case of what is the worst case scenario. Realistically, if you quit your job, try something else, probably the worst thing that could happen is you just have to go back to that original job. Yeah. And in all likelihood, because you have that experience, you could probably get that job again. Yeah. So, I'd encourage people not to be more risky, but just to think about what is truly at risk when you're making those kind of decisions.
I think it kind of depends on different people, circumstances, and positions they're in. And as I said, it's just about weighing up kind of the options and the risk, and to be able to make that informed decision. I don't know if you agree.
But I think we're lucky, we're fortunate, we're in a country where quitting is cool. I think you should always utilise what you have around you, and in as much as not everyone wants to be on job seekers, if you've worked, you've paid tax, you've saved that job seekers, so claim it. That's how I saw it. I've paid tax, it's my right to claim it when I need it. Like you wouldn't think, I'm not going to go to the hospital today because it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
You've paid money towards it, claim it. So utilize everything that you have within your means, and it will help. And yeah, that's.
I guess one thing I'm thinking about, what helps you keep on track whilst you were in that period of not having a job and kind of keep your eye on the prize, essentially, which was getting an accounting job?
The fact that I had to go to get job seekers. Yeah, when you go there, you think, I don't want to come back here, man. I've got to get a job, And they actually do put things in place, which is very helpful. They help you, they tell you must apply for at least 10 jobs a week to get the money. So you're not just getting free money without motivation. Even if the motivation is a bit questionable, it does help because,
So what happened after? What happened next after you quit?
So quit, and within a month I got a job. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I had like back-to-back interviews. I just kept applying anything and everything I saw. But another thing I would say actually is when you quit, you have to be prepared to start from the bottom.
True.
And I think a lot of people quit and think they can just get like for like. No, I went back to a wage that was less than M&S. Wow. Yeah. But I got my foot through the door. So I quit in November. I got a job to start on the first week of January. So I only had 1 month.
What kind of job was this?
This was now an assistant accountant job. Yeah, for interior landscape company.
Okay.
So so I started that, and that was in Colchester.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had to you have to risk it all. You have to just do what it takes to get to where you want to be.
Just for context, you were living in London and travelling to Colchester every day?
Every day, yeah, for at least 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and then...
On you, man.
Yeah, so I did that for 2 months, and then at the time I wanted to study ACCA, which would make me a qualified accountant. Okay. So I went to a seminar one day, and while at the seminar, at the end, the lady was like, I'm looking for an assistant accountant in London. Does anyone want to apply? So I went up to her, I was like, what experience do they need to have? Because I was like, you've said this job, but I'm not sure if I've got the credentials, but I do want the job. And she was like, you were bold enough to come and speak to me. I'm bold enough to hear you out, kind of thing. So I sent her my CV, and then she called me for an interview, went for the interview, and I got the job.
2 things for me there. Kind of the seminar, so that's about kind of going out, putting yourself in different spaces that you might not have been to before, and boldness. As in, I think I've had a mixed bag. I've been to seminars where I go in and then I go out. I don't speak to anyone, and then I've had seminars where I know there's certain people I want to speak to, or people have talked about opportunities and I want to follow up with them, and that's so important because connections and network, these are really important things.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely.
Seems like you were taking quite a few bold steps. So Colchester.
But I think you have to, especially when it's not being handed to you. Like some people are fortunate enough and they got graduate schemes. Every graduate scheme I applied to rejected me. They were not having it. So I thought, what's my other option? I started signing up to agencies, and that's how I got my first role. Yeah. I started thinking, if I can't do it this way, what's the other ways I can do it? So if it's not being handed to you, you've got to fight for it. Yeah. And so I got that job. And then I worked there as an assistant accountant again for 18 months. And that was good. That's where I got the core knowledge for accounting, because the woman I worked with was so into investing in me. She would literally pull me aside sometimes and say, we're just going to work on this today. We're not doing work. This is that. She was very, very, she took it upon herself to invest in me. And I got all my core knowledge for accounting through her.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah.
It was just quite interesting. I guess this is from a personal perspective, but it just seems like sometimes when you go out to find what you need or want, can sometimes be more beneficial.
Yeah.
So maybe it was...
Law of attraction, right?
This is it. This is it. So it was probably more beneficial for you to get this than a graduate scheme.
Yeah, definitely. Because another thing is, if I had got a graduate scheme, I would have been tied down for amount of time.
Yeah. Right.
Most graduate schemes, especially if you're doing accounting, will expect you to do certain things. And once you do those certain things, you're bound by contract to stay there for at least 2-3 years.
Wow.
And in those 2-3 years, I've worked in 4 industries. So at the time, it felt like, oh, why can't I get in?
Yeah.
But now looking back, it was very beneficial for me.
Worth it. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just inspiring hearing about that lady that kind of invested in you.
Yeah.
I think certainly we've done it with me in my career, kind of, but I think it just emphasizes the importance of doing that for other people.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
sometimes all it takes is just one person to really just, like you said, take you aside and really pour into your life, and you go far.
Flourish.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a bit more about how you got these jobs and how it led into tech.
So after staying in that company, which was a charity and a commercial lettings company, so the commercial lettings funded the charity, which was for young entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So I stayed there for 18 months. Then I kind of thought, I want to work in the corporate industry now, because when you think about accounting, you think about finance, you think about banks.
Yes.
So I thought, it's time to branch out. So I started applying for jobs, and I got a role at an asset management company.
Okay.
So then I moved on to there. That wasn't really for me though. It was, it's just too corporate for me. It was very cutthroat, very like rigid. And for me, when it comes to working, especially if you're going to do accounting, your personality is already hidden behind a computer. So it was very important to me to work in an atmosphere where I could speak to my colleagues and my personality could come out. Yes. And that didn't offer that for me. So I stayed there for 6 months and then I quit without a job again.
Yeah. How quickly do you think you realised that it wasn't for you?
Like 1 month in, I realised straight away it just was not for me. It had perks and it works for some people, but for me, I would not do it again. Yeah. So I stayed for 6 months just so it could be nice on my CV. But then when I quit there as well, I didn't have a job.
Wow.
Yeah. Bearing in mind, I've lived by myself through all this process.
Oh, wow.
So I've always had bills.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Good.
So it wasn't like I was relying on my parents. But this time I saved money before I quit.
You knew what you were doing.
So I didn't need the job seekers. And it was so taxing on me that I didn't want a job straight away anyway. I wanted time out.
What? That job?
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay.
I wanted time out, so I was applying for a job here and there, but I wasn't too serious. And the week that I wanted to get serious, I got a role.
So that week?
Yeah, that week, literally. And so
what was that role?
That was a role as a assistant management accountant for a recruitment company.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got that role. So between the asset management company and the recruitment company, I was out of work for like 3 to 4 weeks. So it wasn't too bad, considering I had saved. So I worked for the recruitment company. That was good. It was a nice atmosphere for a while. Yeah. And then I got a bit bored again. And then I started looking for roles. But this time I was very specific with my recruitment agency. I said, I want a job where there is creativity, where things are going on, where the walls are just not grey. Like they do something. It's like technology, it's fashion, it's makeup, it's something.
Okay. So did you give them those as options, those industries?
Yeah,
okay.
I gave them those industries because based on social media, I think those are the industries that are thriving at the moment. And I wanted to be a part of it. I don't want to do the box standard job. And then a role for natural motion came up.
Natural Motion. Okay,
Yeah,
tell us
Natural
about
Motion Games. And that role was to be an accountant. And I was excited. I was like, yeah, games company. I want to work for them.
What was your perception of a games company at that point?
Do you know what? I thought I'd walk into the office and everyone be playing PlayStation. Like, there'd be lots of TVs and everyone just be sitting down playing a PlayStation. That was the thought that came to my mind. And I thought, yeah, I want to do that actually. I want to be in a relaxed environment. And when I went for the interview, I got to see the office.
Okay.
When I saw the office, I was like, please, Jesus, let me get this job. It was just so nice. Everyone was so relaxed. There was just a lovely atmosphere in there.
So just take one step back. Just give us an overview of Natural Motion Games. What does the company do?
Okay, so they are specialised in mobile-based games.
Okay.
For Apple and Android.
Such as?
They're games. The two main games that people know them for are CSR2, which is a car game, and Dawn of the Titans, which is a bit like, I don't know how to explain it, like a cross between maybe Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But they'll probably say I'm not describing it properly. But yeah, it's very like mysterious, fantasy kind of thing. And their parent company is Zynga.
Okay.
And they are American-based. They're in San Francisco. And they are known for games such as Farmville.
Yes.
Yeah, you know Farmville. Words with Friends.
Okay.
And Draw Something.
Okay.
And casino games. All mobile-based as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
So they acquired Natural Motion, I think in 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are currently there?
Yeah, so I'm currently there working as an accountant.
As an accountant. Okay, so tell me what that looks like. Working as an accountant in a tech firm, which is a gaming company.
Yeah. It is interesting. I never knew games generated so much income. Like, because when I play a game and they say play £2, I'm like, no. I'll wait. I'll just wait. But there are people that see games as we see socializing, as we see going out for a drink, going out for dinner. That's how some people see their games. That's what makes them unwind.
Wow.
And they set aside a budget and they pull it into the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the industry is dominated by more males. So males are creating games that females love, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was very interesting for me to join a company where I could see where it was male dominated, and even at the point of my interview, they had to ask me, am I okay with working in such a male dominated office, because of, let's say, 190 people, there's 10 females. Yeah, I think maybe we've got about 15 now, and that's because people have quit and we've recruited. But if those people didn't quit, it would be like 180 to 10.
Wow.
Yeah, thereabouts.
And how does that feel?
I didn't mind.
Okay.
I've only got brothers, so I've got a male-dominated life. But it's actually, I think, what creates the laid-back environment, because males are very laid back, aren't they?
Okay.
There's not a lot of bitching in my office.
Okay.
They don't really bitch. They just do what they have to do. They go home. I get to go to work and dress how I like. I never really think, oh, I've got to do my hair today, or I've got to put on makeup. It's just very relaxed. So, yeah, it makes it nicer.
So in terms of both work and environment, culture, how does this role or this working environment differ to what you've previously experienced?
This role makes it different because I get to do stuff that is not accounting because of the industry. So, for instance, my day-to-day would be like a for me, it's not so much day to day. I would say week to week. So like this week is month end.
Okay.
It's the first week of a new month, so I'm accounting for December now, and then next week I'll move on to payroll, and the week after maybe VAT, and the week after probably I'll start again with month end.
Okay.
But then on the flip side, they can be mocap shooting, which is motion capture. So they capture the motion of a human and put it into the game. So that's why when you see like FIFA, for example, and you see them doing the actual chant of a football player when they score a goal, it's motion capture. So that's why it looks so realistic.
Okay.
But I've got to do a mocap shoot as well. Wow. So I've got to have fun at work and do my normal work as well, which is different to every other industry that I've worked in. Okay. I wouldn't really go and do some recruiting in my other industry. That the jobs are very separate. Whereas here, sometimes you just kind of merge into another team, or you get insight into other teams.
Is there anything else about the work culture that stands out to you, or you really kind of draw to in terms of this workplace?
It's very relaxed,
Okay.
The flexibility of it. And it's so weird because I'm used to a rigid work life, like you must do this on this day of this week. And here it's like, you've got these things to do, however you want to do them, but just make sure they're done.
Yeah.
And I do more than when I had strict deadlines. Wow. So it's weird how flexibility makes you want to do more, because you feel like, I don't want to disappoint that person. They've given me an inch, I don't want to take a mile kind of thing. It's just very flexible. There's always something going on. They make an emphasis on everything. If we've got a new game, we'll have a little launch party. If it's Christmas, we have a party. We celebrate everything. Annual breakfast day.
Oh, nice.
Annual women's day. Annual waffle day. Some of these things I never even knew existed till I started working here. They're very about how you feel and they're very people focused. They want everyone to be comfortable. They want everyone to enjoy coming to work.
Okay. So what do they do to kind of ensure that?
Just all the activities we have going on. We get free Friday lunch every Friday.
Nice.
Pre-payday treats. Annual breakfast day, like I said. Annual this day, annual that day. Like, there's always something going on week on week to make you feel like work is kind of like a family.
That's important.
And I think that's interesting, because I'm wondering why. Like, I don't know if you can necessarily speak to it, but why do you think tech is like that as distinct from other industries? Because what is it about tech that makes them care in that way?
I think it's because a lot of people in tech are doing what they enjoy. I spoke to someone the other day and asked him, if you weren't here, what would you be doing? And he was like, I'd be here because I'm an artist and I get to draw every day. He's happy with his situation. So he wants everyone around him to be happy. And I think that's how it flows through from the leaders of the organisation as well. They're happy with what they're doing and they want you to be happy around them. So what can I do to make sure that you're happy as well when you work with me? Incentives.
And I guess my question is more direct to the fact that you are not technically from a tech background.
No.
You're working in the tech industry. So how do you feel about kind of your day-to-day job? Has this changed because you've entered the tech industry, or do you feel like your perception about your job has changed?
Yeah, definitely. Prior to getting this job, I didn't want to do accounting anymore. I was done with it because it was just tedious to me. It was so boring. Like, I did the same thing. My life was structured on a 4-week basis. This week I'm doing this, this week I'm doing this, this week I'm doing this. And it was continuous. And I started working as soon as I got off uni, which was, how old was I? 19, 20? Around that age. So now I'm 29. It's nearly 10 years of work.
Decades.
And it was just too repetitive for me. I was thinking, I'm so young And when I look at my work career, it's just the same. So I was thinking, I don't want to do accounting anymore. I was ready to quit. I was ready to just try something new. And then when I came into this industry, even though accounting is still accounting here, the fact that on a certain week I can do a mocap shoot makes it different. Yeah. Gives me that boost of creativity or that boost of something different. So that's good. Yeah, tech definitely made me realise that you can like your job if you work in the right industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to pick up on something you said. I don't think a lot of people realise how much creativity is in tech, because when people think of tech, they think of technical things.
Yeah.
And like maybe coding, which is actually creative. But I don't think people understand the creativity that's in this industry. So could you speak to that a little bit more?
Yeah, tech is so creative. Like, even from coding, if I was a coder, I'd code whatever, and then I'd see it in a game.
Yeah.
Just even that transition is so, like, mind-blowing. Like, it's so creative. The things that you see happening in a tech environment just make you think, how's the world going to be in, like, 5 years, 10 years? It makes you start thinking, what can I do? Yeah. How can I adapt tech to what my interests are? Yeah. And build from that. Yeah. Because that was Facebook, wasn't it? Yeah. A couple of guys sat together and thought, let's do this. Yeah. And that grew, and that Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn. And it's just people thinking, okay, I want to bring people who work together to a social media platform. And that was LinkedIn.
Yeah. And look at it now.
Yeah. And it's just, once you're in that industry, you start thinking, okay, I'm interested in, let's say, property. How can tech help property? Yeah. How can I bring them together? And by the time you know it, there'll be a new app that, I don't know, you can take a picture of your room and tell it the colours you want and it will design it.
Yeah. So many possibilities.
So tech is it just gets you thinking. It opens your creative mind. Like, I'd say I've become more creative. I've started thinking about creativity more when I started working in tech.
This is good.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess, kind of following up from that, what are you currently doing to tap into this creative side of you outside? And when I say that, I mean, what are you doing in terms of training? What are you doing in terms of like personal life to explore tech outside of your day-to-day job?
So in terms of that, I've got an interest in a bit of fashion and a bit of property, like interior. So I've done an interior course.
Oh, wow.
Just to see how it works. And the funny thing is, when I done the interior course, it was very paper-based. You draw everything, you paint everything and stuff like that. But then now working in tech, I'm thinking, surely there must be a way that I can do this on my iPad. Yeah. And there are interior apps, but they're not hitting the nail on the head properly yet. Yeah. And I just feel like if the right person in tech can go into that industry, and even fashion, like fashion is still quite a paper-based industry. Like, there's no I've never seen a virtual runway show. Like, do you know what I mean? There's still a lot more they can do in terms of that. And working in tech has made me start thinking, how can I apply tech to this industry and this industry? So
make you think a bit more widely.
Yeah. So and that's why I've tried to do the course, like the interior course. I can see where there's gaps and how tech could probably fill it.
That's good. It's nice to see how it's influencing your thoughts about other industries.
Yeah. Because I think ultimately tech will be the parent industry and every industry will pull out of it.
I agree.
To utilise their industry, or if not, they will become obsolete. Yeah. And it's as simple as that.
Sure. I think this is why it's important for us to have these conversations, because we're both in tech. We understand what's been going on and how the industry is moving. And to hear that you're saying that from a finance background, you've come into tech, you're tapping into this. It's so refreshing for us, and it's just, we want to kind of spread that good news as much as possible. So what do you feel like you can do as someone who's like in tech now for those who have no awareness to tech?
Oh, that's a good question. What I can do is advise those who are in uni, who are doing a degree such as accounting, marketing, even project management, that don't just think about the typical industries that are associated with that subject.
Yes.
For instance, when it comes to accounting, everyone thinks bank. No, it doesn't always have to be a bank.
Yeah.
Think outside the box.
Yeah.
Think tech.
Yes.
And I think they should just be mindful that there will be some things that they see that could possibly put them off, but they shouldn't use it to judge the industry because it's not necessarily the industry's fault.
Yeah. And I think, just picking up on one of your comments earlier, you talk about boldness, and I think that is definitely one of the things that people should utilise as they kind of start their career journey. So, like you said, don't just think about accounting in banks, think about Facebook has accountants. Random House Publishers has accountants. Yes. All of these different companies and industries have accountants. Even if you don't know someone who is an accountant in that industry, go and find someone.
Yeah.
Go on LinkedIn and Google who's the accountant at Uber, or who's the accountant at this other company, or who are the accountants, and just maybe reach out to them, because you don't know until you kind of reach out and find out.
And sometimes you don't even need to go to, let's say, an accountant-based networking event. Go to a games show. Go to a property show. Because everybody within that sector will come to that show.
Exactly.
We do this thing, they do it in games, where every year they will go to a games company will host other games.
Okay.
And that's how they recruit.
Right.
They keep it within. So if you don't come there, you're not going to come across it.
Yeah.
Don't just think of the standard way of applying for a job. Things are different now.
Absolutely.
We don't need to be like that anymore. We can take other avenues to get to where we want to get to where we want to go. Yeah, and like I was saying, don't be put off, because like I said, it's male dominated. And even when I started the role, I was the only black female. And I know to a lot of people, they would be thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to work here. I don't know how I'll feel. But to me, I saw it as an opportunity. If I'm the first, I'm not saying I'm the first, but if I am the first black female they have working, I want to set an example that this is how we work.
Yes.
And I want to bring people in. I want to put my foot through that door and say, come with me. Yeah, don't see it as a negative. See it as a positive. See it as, what can this do for other black women?
Yes.
And see, even as women in ethnic minorities as a whole, what can this do for them? And it will help.
And I think it's like you said, you have to hold your own. And even if it's a case of you learning to hold your own in that role, take the opportunity. Take the losses and take the wins and become better. And also, like you say, holding the door open for other people. I think that's part of what we're trying to achieve with this, is to show people the way that we have gone. Maybe it's a way for them, maybe it's not, but at least they kind of see the different options that are available. But I wonder if there's anything that you feel either your workplace could do, or the industry could do, or other people could do to offer more support in terms of places you want to go, or just generally in your career.
Yeah, I think I would appeal to secondary schools. Because in secondary school, they make it so rigid. They make you think, if you're doing this, your outcome must be this. And it's not the case. Like, I always say to my friends, there should be a life class in secondary school. It tells you that in life, there are these paths, but you don't always, sometimes you will cross two paths to get to where you want to go, or even three. it's not necessarily one path for the end. And I would appeal to secondary schools to bring more tech people in, people like us, to come and speak to the students and let them know that you don't have to be rigid because you can get a career. And I think that's why a lot of people in our generation didn't go into tech, because I can't imagine when I was in secondary school telling my mum I wanted to be an artist. She would have said, how are you going to pay your bills? Yeah. do you know what I mean? But that's because she doesn't know.
Yes. No, you're right.
It's just simply because she doesn't know. If I went to my mum and said, oh, we had a talk today at school, and look at this, and look what they're paying them, I'm saying, yeah, go and draw.
Go ahead, go.
Do you know what I mean? She would say, go and do it. Yeah. But you need that knowledge, and I think it starts from secondary school. I think uni's too late, because once you've signed up, you've signed up.
This is true. And I think it's just quite interesting how you've spoken about your journey, your story, and how it was essentially that kind woman who kind of brought you in, and she kind of opened the door for you. Yeah. So I feel like we have to be that kind of woman as well.
Exactly.
As much as we can, go into those places where we're able to go into, whether it's schools, whether it's organisations which are not related to tech, and tell people this is our story, because we enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy working in tech. You sound like you do.
Yeah. Watch my Snapchat.
I love it. This is just taking it kind of off in a slightly different direction. But one thing that I've noticed about people who work in the tech industry like we do is something around self-definition. I'm going to try and frame this question, but do you consider yourself a tech person, or do you consider yourself someone who works in the tech industry? How do you self-describe in a tech context?
It's a bit of a hard question to answer, but ultimately, I would say I'm the latter. So I see myself more as a creative, and the tech is first and the accountant is second. Whereas before, the accountant was first and the tech was second.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that is kind of a key message, that tech is an enabler for so much that's happening in society, but it's also an enabler for us to discover things about ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
I think working in tech has opened me up to myself, not to stuff out there, but to what is already in me.
Yeah. And in as much as we say social media is bad or whatever,
they say.
They say, should I say? Without it, less people would be living their truth.
Yeah.
So I see it as it's what's helped me live my truth, and that is coming back to tech. Yeah. Tech has helped me live my truth. Yeah. It's helped me be bold. It's helped me say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I want to do. Yeah.
So kind of with that in mind, now that you see the creative side of you kind of be the forefront of your career, what are your thoughts about next steps in your career?
So, tech has made me realise that you should do what you love. Okay. Because I'm surrounded by people that do what they love, even down to my CEO. He worked as maybe a banker or in the financial sector for a while, but he had always had an interest in games. Okay. And there was an opportunity for him to be like a CEO or project manager, something corporate within the game sector. And then that's how he got into games. Yeah. And now he's living his dream. Yeah. Like, literally living his dream. So it's open. Yeah, tech has made me think, do what you love. Accounting, I enjoy it. And maybe I would love it a bit more if we had people like us when I was coming up to tell me, you can do it in a creative environment. Okay. And then maybe I wouldn't have gone through those bad experiences. I wouldn't have got to the point where I saw it as boring. Okay. So then I would have wanted to stay in accounting. Whereas now, after being in this industry, I wouldn't necessarily say my next step is to continue in accounting.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I have an interest in fashion. I have an interest in property and interiors. So should I leave where I'm currently working, I don't think I'll be going into accounting again.
Interesting.
Yeah. But whatever I do when I leave will definitely be creative. So tech has taken me to that place. And in as much as what I do after being creative, I'll definitely be dragging tech with me. Put it in my pocket to wherever I go. And even if I do continue in accounting and I leave this company, it will be good to go to another tech company. I will never go back to the corporate industry again. Yeah.
Sounds like tech has helped you find yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, prior to me getting this job, I thought I was having like a mid-20s crisis. I was like, I don't know what I want to do.
My life.
I'm doing what I studied, but it just doesn't feel fulfilling.
Yeah.
And if you noticed, most of my previous roles, I've only been there 18 months or even less. But this is the first time I feel settled. I just feel like I found my place.
On my feet,
Yeah.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm happy.
I definitely speak into that as well. I feel like I studied landscape architecture, and I knew I always liked design.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what exactly in design, even though I had studied as a graduate landscape architecture. It was difficult for me to kind of come outside of studying and think about, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. And it took me on a journey, and it landed me in tech.
Yeah.
But I'm now thinking of, okay, landscape architecture, how does that work with technology?
Tech, exactly.
So I definitely resonate with a lot of things you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I think that brings us to a beautiful end.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Antonia, for joining us today.
you.
We
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
me.
having you.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for putting this platform together.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's a very good thing to be doing in this era where, in as much as social media is helping us, it's not always helping the younger generation who may feel lost. And platforms like this can offer that direction and put social media back into the good light. So, well done, ladies.
We're happy that you're able to share your story.
Yes,
Like, we really
I think your
appreciate
story is
that.
going to inspire
Exactly.
them. All those lost
Yes.
youths.
Don't quit if you don't have money.
So there we have it. We had Antonia for this week's episode of A Seat at the Tech Table. We look forward to the next episode. For now, join us on social media or the website, and we look forward to the next one.
Thanks for joining us today and listening to this episode of A Seat at the Tech Table. You can connect with us on our social media platforms. Just search @SistersInTech on Twitter and Instagram, and check out our website www.sistersin.tech to see what we've got going on. Don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll bring you the next episode soon.